I am Natalie. In my work as a healer, therapist, and in this podcast, I consult the spirits, guides, and counselors. I have been working this way for over 13 years, and this connection has existed from the day I entered this world. In this podcast, In the Heart of Being, a spiritual journey, the spirits, guides, and counselors connect me to the layers of being, dimensions, and the library of knowledge, where we connect the spirit with the body, which I love to share with you all. Will you join us in our quest, weaving the unknown into the known? Today, me and Disha are going to talk about the purpose and a vision. And when we started, I said, yeah, but what is a vision? What is a vision anyway, you know? What is a vision? Most people say, I have a vision of the future. I know where I need to go. But actually, that is not a vision. That's just an idea of the ego. Just an idea of this is who I need to be. In 10 years, I need to be this. The other day, I met a client of mine on the streets, and we were talking about she wants to have a different job and stuff like that. And I said, you know, in the past, when I would do different things, I would go for an interview and they would ask, okay, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I was like, well, I don't know. I said, you know, many things can happen in 5 years. And he said, but don't you have like the path and in front of you where you want to be in 10 years? I said, no. And then they would look at me like, okay, this is strange. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to work here. Because I don't want to think like that. And most people, when they talk about the vision, this is the vision they have. Where do I see myself in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years? And sometimes people, when they come to me, I say, yeah, well, when you do that, you just have like 3 options. You have the past, the present, and the future. And from that you create. Because there's no heart in it. Just your mind. You think, this is my vision. This is where I need to go. But true visions just come from one moment to the next. You're riding your bicycle. You're sitting on the toilet. You're eating your meal. And it just comes. You just know, this is what I need to do. It's like someone handing you something from one instant to the next. You feel it. You don't know how to get there. But you know, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. And then most people start planning. So when I want this, then I need to have those pieces in my life. But actually that's not the way it works. The vision came. And now you need to pay attention to the world because it will guide you. The vision came and told you, you need to do this.
So what you're saying, what I understood, is that in a way, vision is not an active act of creation.
No.
It is, would you say it's passive?
It's like, it comes from a higher field actually.
So it's more, it comes to you in a space of receptivity, either your dreams or when you are least expecting it.
Yeah.
An idea will come to you.
Yeah. It's also like a lot of scientists, when there's a new discovery or a new idea, like almost like 2 or 3 people all over the world get the same. They have like the window was open.
Interesting.
Yeah. So sometimes people tell me, I don't have that, what you have. I said, yeah, but you never take the time. You know, when you're running from one thing to the next, there's never space. And they try to throw something in, but, you know, you already passed it and it fell off you. You know, you didn't, like the seed could not get into the ground. It just fell on the ground and the water came and it just disappeared.
That's interesting because this reminds me of something I was reading somewhere, that all the ideas, all the possibilities already exist in the quantum field.
Yeah.
And at any given point of time, those ideas are available to those who are open.
Yeah.
And an example of that would be perhaps that, for example, you know, you see a new app or something and you look at it and it's like, that exactly I thought about that. And I had this idea 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, you did, but you didn't do anything about
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Instead.
Yeah.
So that's what
That's, yeah.
Okay.
So they're just waiting for someone to create it. And when you have certain interests, then, well, you are the one that they will throw it at, and then you receive it and you think, whoa, I'm going to do this. I don't know how, but I just feel it. I know this is what I need to do. I just know. And then you're like, okay, if this is what I need to do, then it will be arranged. So you also need a sense of trust.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then you will find out that you're walking down the street and then someone says something that you needed to hear. And you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, I can use this. Or you come at a store and you find a certain book, for example. Exactly what you need for the next step. For actually, vision and purpose are connected. Because vision comes to you when you have certain qualities or certain interests and a certain life purpose.
Can you explain that a little bit more? Like what kind of qualities?
Well, it's different for everyone, actually. The qualities can be like you understand, let me say it like this. You can read between the lines, for example. Someone is telling you something and you just know. You're not telling me everything. This is what is underneath. Or you look at the world and you see how people behave a certain way and you see the outcome. So you have an overall view of things. And you tell it to others and they say like, no, this is not going to happen. And then afterwards, like a couple of months or maybe years, they say, you already saw this many years ago. I say, yes, I saw this. So we have different qualities. It's different for everyone. You have a very open mind, for example. And you like, they tell me, you're like a grasshopper. You jump and you grass here and you grass there and not it's not a bad thing, but and also like the cow has like 6 stomachs and you start digesting. You do, huh? And then this idea pops out. This is the quality of you. You are someone that can connect dots. Other people would not see, They would just be like in one corner and they just try to do it there.
Yeah, I see that. I see patterns everywhere.
Yeah. So this is a calling for you. Where it will lead you, we will see. And there comes the trust. There comes the trust. Because the purpose is out there and you starting to digest and to read and all those, like see the patterns and stuff like that. And it will lead you to your purpose. But we don't have to search for the purpose. We just have to listen to the visions that are true, that are real, that are just waiting for us to open up. And then it just comes in. But most of the times we think like, oh no, this is such a grand thing, we cannot do this. It's too big for just me. But you were the one that got the image. You are the one that got the image. I know about, like this Japanese man, Emoto. I also know of another person that got the same idea. But he was too busy. He was also in sound healing and stuff like that. Jonathan Goldman, he is called. And he got like the same idea. But he was too busy. He had other things to do. And then like, I think a couple of months later, Emoto was also the one that started to doing these things. So it just waits when there's a new opening. And it's just for us to open up to this part of ourselves. And that happens when we, in a way, we let go of the material world. Because the material world can be absorbing you totally. Totally. And if that's what you want to do in this life, be my guest. Be my guest. If you love to go out every night, if that is your sparkle, then that is your sparkle. Because most of the times people say like, no, then you don't develop. We don't know. And it would be judgmental to say like, oh, this person is going out every night. Perhaps it's just spreading light everywhere it goes. I don't know. And but if some people wants to experience that, and then that's fine. And others have a different kind of purpose. And that purpose comes from the heart. And As I said, when we create in a material world, we have the past, the present, and the future. But most of the times you have the past and the future, and sometimes the present. So you have three possibilities. But when we start to listen to the insights we have, the visions we see, then we get the possibilities of the heart, and they are endless. They are endless possibilities. And sometimes people, when they are in the material world, they also have time and space as possibilities, but then actually already moving to the heart.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, time and space is like we live in the third dimension. So we have the past, the present, and the future. But when you have time and space, you go to the, like, in a way, in the fifth. And when there's time and space, things dissolve. And then you come to the heart. But because the heart is endless. It has endless possibilities. It goes beyond everything we know. It connects to the field we were talking about, where the visions and the insight and the wisdom comes. When I talk, I don't think. I just talk. It comes from the heart. When I start thinking, the talking stops because there's interference, And when they have access to time and space, it's actually very interesting because it collapses. And then there's an opening. It's like a black hole.
In something I was reading about the possibility in the quantum field, it's a wave, or it's a frequency.
Yeah.
It can change. It can become anything.
Yeah.
So in time and space, and it depends where it moves.
It depends on the receiver. Yeah.
It can go either way.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the people that are more like in the past, the present, and the future, it's more frequency. And for the ones that go beyond that, it becomes energy. And energy can become a frequency, but energy can also become something else. It just depends what needs to be done in a way. So we all came with a purpose. And sometimes people say, yeah, but what I contribute to this world is very small. Say, you don't know. Even that we need. Even if it is small. Even if you have like just a few friends or in a way a small life, you can be a gift to all of us. You just sitting at your home and embracing the world as who you are. Radiating from the heart or taking in all this knowledge. We forget that with everything we do, it goes up. So everything we do in our lives, even the ones in the material world, what they experience there becomes a part of the field. And it can change again.
It's an energetic ripple.
Yeah. Yeah. So even if we have like this minuscule life, it is a ripple in the field. And perhaps like this very small life someone is living is actually the greatest teacher of all. We always want to be like, be famous in the world or, being the teacher. I don't know, like big. We want to be big. But like this tiny life. Which, there's a judgment to say it's a tiny life, but just to explain it, this small part of it can be the ripple we all need.
That's I feel that in the sense that very interestingly. So like we have a lot of people, for example, who work in the charity sector, like social workers. They might be working in small communities, and the work that they are doing is affecting their community, maybe on a small scale. But the effect of that is felt in the sense that the people who live in those communities, who are at the receiving end of it, when they experience such human generosity and goodwill, it changes something, hopefully, in their own behavior. And when they go out in wider communities, they start reflecting that. It's what we say coming from certain experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And that can have its own ripple effect.
Exactly.
So in a way, even a small behavior or a gesture can have a big ripple effect that we may not be around perhaps to see it, but it can have the reverberations going on for a long time.
Yeah, that's what they always talk about, the butterfly effect, That something small that can happen in one part of the world can be having a big effect at the other one. The other day, someone told me a story about a man that developed a certain technique, and he went to one of the places in America where there was a lot of violence and crime and poverty and drugs abuse and stuff like that. And this man went into that neighborhood, and he said normally social workers would go with guides and stuff like that, guardians, because otherwise it would be too difficult, or they would fear for their lives. But this man just went in. And he started talking with the children he saw, and just talking from how is your day and stuff like that. And later on he started talking with their mothers and stuff like that. And it just took him a long time to introduce his technique. And then they gathered and they started talking about their lives and just sharing. And then some women were they used crack and stuff like that, or crystal meth, it's really heavy, awful drugs actually. And they started to use it less and less and less until they stopped using it at all. And then they started to introduce it in different parts in different neighborhoods. And then these women, they went to another neighborhood, and they started to teach the other women about this technique. And when they were sitting on in between them and they were telling their story, the women in the audience just start crying. Yeah, like we it touched them because it is real. And so this man just came in and without judgment, without thinking, oh, they're going to kill me. No, he just went in there and said, I'm going to try to make a connection. I'm going to try and make a connection. This is not something that came from the material world. This was a purpose. This was a purpose. And with explaining his purpose to these women, they felt called and they went on. So these small things we see as small has so much effect on everyone around us. And so we all have a purpose. So actually, one of my friends, he sometimes tells me, he said, I don't know, I don't think I'm doing much of my life, with my life. That has reasons. But I said, he has many books. It's like a library in his home. And then when I read something and I call him and I said, I read about this, and he said, I have a book about that. This person wrote about it and they tell those things. So he lights up my life. And I said, you have like this treasure. Yeah, you have that. And this is a big gift to our world. So we all contribute in one way or another. And we all have purpose. We cannot see it, but we do. And when we have found our purpose, in a way, we live that for a while, and then our time is up. Yeah, our time is up. If we find our true purpose, and we share it with the world, then we know we can leave the world. And sometimes we don't. We just stay. But we know we have done what we needed to do.
Well, that sounds like leaving with such satisfaction.
Yeah. A
lot of peace and satisfaction.
Yeah. So the story I told the other day of my father when he died. My father had like a really big heart, but something really bad happened, and he, in a way, he could not connect with that anymore. But before he died, he started talking about what happened, and he released it. And then his love came back, and he touched everyone with his love that was there. So in the end, he fulfilled his purpose. And he left with peace. And even that I would miss him, I was not sad. Because I know that was what he needed to do. Yeah. So when it's true, when we leave the world and we have found our purpose and we live by it, even if it's like what I told you with this friend, and you see it, then you're like, you can let go. You say, I am preparing for the next journey. I am preparing for the next journey.
I have something coming up in my mind.
Okay, tell me.
So, is living in the kind of noisy environment that we live in, to find our purpose, the first step is to let go of finding the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And to let go and be at ease with it requires a certain kind of presence in the moment. What can we do in our daily life?
Well, the first thing is you need to stop listening. Stop listening to the outside world. Because I have women coming here, and sometimes men in their 20s or in their 30s, and say, I haven't found my purpose yet. I need to be someone in this world and stuff like that. I say, okay, wait a second. You already are. You already are. You know? You don't have to become something. You already are something, someone. And they said, yeah, but my friend's this and my friend's that. And I said, you know, they will get to this point later on in their lives. Now it seems like they know it all, you know. They follow the narrative that everyone does. They go to college or not, or they start working at the supermarket. Doesn't matter. They get a wife or a man or whatever, and they live like the normal life. But said most of them, when they become 40 or 50, they will start questioning things. And some say, but I need to know it now. I say no. No, because we cannot know it now. Because when we know it now, the purpose of life is over. Huh? Sounds heavy, huh?
It does.
And for some they find it very when they're very young, you know. But the children that come in now are different. But where I was going to actually was listen to yourself. Listen to yourself, and not to others. Yeah, the other day we did the inner voice. Listen to yourself. And it's not that you are always right. It's not about that. But when you listen to yourself, you allow yourself to make good choices, bad choices, and you learn from that. You grow from that. But the world now is so busy that we are looking at the phones all the time. We're reading all the magazines. We need to have a good job, and we have to exercise, and we have to read, and we have to do all those things. And sometimes you just need to take a break. Said, I'm not going to do all those things at all. That's why when they go on vacation, like in the first couple of days, are like, they're still in it. And then after a while, they get out of it. And then they feel the silence. And some get scared about it, and then they fill up again. But in this silence, the purpose can come. And, you know, like this actually one important thing, like you are already what you need to be. All the other things, they're just things of this world. But you are everything you need to be. You are complete. As like the sages say, we are all enlightened. We just forgot. But we are. We have everything we need inside ourselves. But we start listening to the outside world. And we forget that we are the ones that know. We are the ones that allow ourselves to make mistakes. And sometimes we do that on purpose. Because then we understand how it is to see the other side. How to feel miserable. How to get out of it. How to grow and to step forward and to fall again. And then we get up again. It makes us resilient in a way. And it's all leading up to where we need to go, what we need to do.
Actually, for some, the desire to find a purpose early on in their life can actually inhibit them, because when they get so focused on wanting to find it, they forget to live in the moment and to experience what it is, because in the end that experience will lead them to the purpose.
True. Yeah. So I always say there's, even that time is a strange thing, but there's a momentum for everything. There's a momentum for everything. You know, when I was younger, I would try to work towards something. Never happened. And then just some people would just ask me for things and said, oh, okay. I would have let go of it, and then it just came. So there is a momentum. And before that, you are just allowed to live, to enjoy life. Because actually that is also one of the purposes of everyone here. Even if you are been born in a very difficult situation, it is for you to find the way, even if you cannot do anything in the outside world, but inside, to enjoy life, to have a rich imagination, for example. Or even if you're not allowed to go out, just to see what you have.
So to find inner freedom.
Inner freedom is the highest purpose of all.
Isn't that what Mandela found?
Yeah.
In the prison.
Exactly.
So physically he was imprisoned, but in the inner world he was free.
He was free. And also like the people that are on that row, for example, they find this inside themselves. Because freedom is something we think is in the outside world, but it's something inside us. And when we feel it inside us, and more people do, wars cease to exist. They cannot exist anymore. Because you need good and bad. You need duality. You need duality. But when you find inner freedom, it doesn't matter where you are. Because, you know, even if you would have to go to the other plane, you have found freedom. True freedom. It's like you have also like trust. When you have children, and when they start walking, you say, oh, go ahead, I am here. You know, you give them a sense of trust. But it's a trust of this world. The other trust we were talking about in the other episodes is trust from the heart. Like inner freedom is also this part. The whole world can be in chaos, but you feel this inside. And this is freedom. And this is such a strong field. If more people would feel inner freedom, no matter where they are, look at Mandela. He changed. He changed the apartheid in South Africa. He changed. And so you have more also people around the world. When they truly find this part, even when he was in prison, he already was changing. Because it's such a strong field. That, and Gandhi, for example, the same. Yeah. And so you have more people in this world that did something like that, and also doing it now. Yeah, inner freedom would be a beautiful one to talk about another time. Next time, me and Disha will talk about the child's mind. Is the child still present in you today? Or do you believe that as a grown-up, the child cannot be a part of your life anymore? For when the child comes back into our lives, most of the times it's clinging on to our leg. Release me of these burdens. Give me a spot, a place in your life. Because besides all the pain and sorrow we have carried over the years, it also brings back our joy and amazement. But more about that in our next episode. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the Q&A section on Spotify or your own favorite podcast app. And then we will dedicate one or more episodes to the questions and the answers. In the meantime, you can connect with us on natalienevely.nl and on Instagram, in the heart of being. Thank you for listening. See you next time.